Hey, what's up? In the next part, please go check out the previous part to gauge your bearings, guys. Yo, I'm so sick and tired of doing little summaries of what I said in the previous part so you can understand what we're talking about. But anyway, I'm busy telling a story of basically how my ex and I ended up like losing love, you know, because of sin, and Christ being the only way to basically help relationships along. I'm busy telling that story. I went on right ahead to explain my ex-boyfriend, how it is that before he met me, he had met another woman. He knew one other woman. They all grew up together, who was his best friend's baby mama and girlfriend, but the best friend passed away. And during the season of comforting one another in the sorrow, he was the goddad of the little girl. When they were busy comforting each other in the sorrow, they fell in love. Nothing wrong with that. They get to do that, okay? Like proper, the guy's dead. Ain't nobody betraying anybody here. But this woman was a gold digger. And so because she was a gold digger and my ex didn't have much, he was just working in a call center, blah, blah, all that jazz, she passed him up because he didn't have money. And I went on to explain how it is that usually men who have a lot of money, sometimes they feel like they don't have to be virtuous. They don't have to be good to women because they are like spoiling them rotten or whatever, so they can be rude, they can be short, and they can also be very unfaithful, just not stable, and they don't quickly just propose marriage to women. So when you're dating one, you don't even know if you're gonna end up his wife or just somebody that he spoils for like 2 months with trips to Paris and back, and then like he's on to the next one. There is no stability a lot of times in wealthy men's lives, and this woman wanted a wealthy man, and she passed up a really great guy in favor of her pursuit of money. However, but because she was still in love with my ex-boyfriend, she actually had real feelings for him. She then became the bane of the existence of my relationship when it then finally became what it is that it became. I've got a pimple growing on my nose and it hurt for me to scratch at it. Okay, cool beans and bananas. Now that we've explained that, let's move right ahead. Like I said, this woman was a gold digger. So one time, my ex and I were chilling on the couch in my mom's house, and I decided to ask him a question that I regretted after he gave me the answer. I asked him, out of all the women that he's ever been with, which one did he love the most? At this point, we were already exchanging I love yous, right? Because we fell in love hard and fast quite rapidly. We were like tight, like no man, spent all our time together. And I asked him, out of all the women that he's ever been with, which one did he love the most? And I expected him to be like, of course you, baby. Because like I said, I'd never experienced anything like that in a man before. So I imagine that if at all he's treating me like this, and he will change his entire life in order to be with me, drop drugs and all that stuff, I must obviously be the love of his life. And the answer they gave me shattered me to a million pieces. He basically said, okay, and I quote, I gave this woman, what name did I give her? I said Pinky, right? Yeah, I said her name was Pinky. He responded and said that the love of the woman that he loves the most out of everyone is Pinky. I had heard stories about Pinky before because he told me about the death of his best friend, and that his best friend's baby mama was Pinky. And when he told me that he's in love with the best friend's baby mama, I was like, oh my goodness. Whoa. Ugh. For me, it was like, how do I even compete with that? Like, you connected over somebody who died. That is a bond that is fostered through a very unique circumstance that I cannot for the life of me manufacture in a vacuum. I can't extract that. I can't scoot that out the way. I ain't gonna compete with that. I was so hurt, but in absolutely no position at all to dump my boyfriend, because I asked him. Can't dump a guy because he gave me an honest answer, guys. Like, you know, it's not like he's cheating on me with her. He just confessed that out of all the women he's been with, the one that but he was dumb, though. He was supposed to say it's me. He was supposed to lie. Anyway, whatever. He said that Pinky was the love I had experienced in the past. Pinky calling my boyfriend, right? But remember, my boyfriend was Pinky's kid's goddad. And so I thought that he was just being a responsible godfather every time he would take the call and basically cater to her needs and stay on the phone with her. For my ex-boyfriend was never the kind of person to stand up and go out of the room in answering the phone. We were honest. His phone was never locked, like just total trust between each other, right? So when he would talk to her on the phone, I read nothing into it. I didn't even feel the need to listen in on the conversation or really be careful to gauge if these are two lovebirds talking. Like, for me, it was like, it's the baby dad mama of his dead best friend. Thought nothing of it. But after this particular day, now every phone call that came through was like razors in my ears, guys. Razors. Yo. Okay, so you told me that Pinky was his love. And I got hurt by that, like severely. I could not even keep a straight face. And because he confessed this thing, I started to notice stuff that then basically created the bane of my existence status in this Pinky girl's, you know, with the way that this Pinky girl was. The bane, what made Pinky the bane of my existence, was the observation of my boyfriend's reactions to her phone calls and her petitions, right? Remember, my ex and I used to say, like, we would book into hotels every weekend, so we had like a relationship budget to do this, and so he could no longer cater haphazardly to the needs of Pinky, the financial needs of Pinky, just like that. He now had a girlfriend, and I remember I told you guys in my previous post that my ex had a criminal streak in him, and so he was prepared to pull random stunts in order to please women that are illegal. But when he came into my life, I told him, you don't get to do that anymore. And so he was no longer basically making side money at all. He was just earning his 9-to-5 salary. That's all he had. So he could not just afford to let go of 2,000, let go of 3,500 just like that. And however, those are the kinds of monies that he just used to give this woman. I never used to personally get bachelor. I had my own salary. I didn't even expect it. So when my boyfriend was busy bacheloring another woman, yo guys, yes, like it, man, did that get to me? Man, did that pull my afro hairs out? Because I had an afro too even back then. Yo. This is not my real hair. My real hair is underneath. Yeah, okay, guys, what? One night, my ex-boyfriend, I remember, received a call, and I knew that it was Pinky. After that day that he told me that the woman that he's in love with the most is Pinky, one night, maybe a week later, he gets on the phone, right? Pinky calls him, and is like, I could hear, I need this, I need blah blah blah, a woman's voice. I could hear it in the background, right? All I could think about in my mind was, she's not your baby mama, and that child is also not your kid. I'm your woman. I don't have a child with you, but we're planning a future. You have feelings for this woman. It is no longer about goddaughter anymore. This is a woman using the fact that she knows you have feelings for her to just swindle you out of cash. Well, you have a relationship now, dude, that you have got a budget for. You have never bought me airtime. Fine, I can buy my own airtime, but it would be nice if you just kind of, you know, went to the ATM in Jeffela and just plonked 80 rands in my cell phone. Mara, you are doing this for I remember this woman called him, ne? And we were together. I remember at the time we were parked at Clearwater Mall. I think we had just had dinner. Yo, guys, she called him and we were in my car. After she called him, he asked me to park the car instead of drive out of the mall. Not park, sorry, but he asked me to, instead of driving out of the mall, we were on our way out. But instead of driving out, he was like, wait, please don't drive out. Can you drop me off? Not like, can we first stop at the Standard Bank on the other side of the mall, and then we'll go. Yazi, my blood boiled, Yazwa, because for me it was like, okay, this guy told me that this is the woman that he's in love with, not me. I was out here in these streets feeling mad jealous vibes. And then she calls him and he stops me from driving out of the mall to go to the ATM. I did not know what he was doing at the ATM, but it was certainly, I believe it was airtime, because whatever it is that he had to do, he could have done it at home. He could have stopped at he could have passed the ATM on his way to work in the morning or whatever. If at all it was physical cash that he was to give this woman, or he could have actually gone into an actual bank and made a deposit. But it was something that could be done only at the ATM, and at the time for ATM you could like buy a person airtime that way. So I figured, I put two and two together that this guy was buying this woman airtime, right? And I remember just thinking, you've never even bought me airtime. Fine, maybe it's because I always have my own airtime, but I don't care. I'm your girlfriend. Dude, yeah, it's like I was boiling, sorrow. I dropped him off indeed at the ATM. Mara, during the time when I was sitting in the car waiting for him to come back, all these thoughts were just running in my mind. This man literally asked his maid, he asked his girlfriend to stop at an ATM so that he could go and buy another woman airtime. And now I knew who this woman was and crash up what the real deal story was behind it all. And I just went mad. When he came back into the car, I was like, whatever nonsense is going on between you and this woman, it better stop, dude. Like, I'm not gonna have you financing that woman's ways, that gold digger that you explained to me. The two of y'all had intimate relations of sorts. Whether or not you had sex, I don't care. Bottom line is you shared something. Do you understand? And it's romantic. Iphelile. fine, she has a daughter that you love and you basically look at as like your god kid or whatever. But bottom line is, she has a boyfriend. She's not on pension. She's not unemployed. She also is not a woman that has no family that can take care of this child. I am in your life now, dude. I'm your girlfriend. And if at all you're not gonna finance my ways, which I'm not even asking for you to do. You're definitely not gonna be financing the ways of another woman. So enough is enough. You are not going to be buying Tigan Lena airtime. You're not going to be doing anything. So that was the on that day, he basically was like, okay, cool, like, wow, sharp. Like, he did not argue with me because he knew that I was right? He was like, very well. After buying her airtime, he was like, very well. Okay, I thought that this thing ended there. But the chokehold that this woman had on my ex, the way that the way she was basically so potent to him, he decided that he's going to now start kind of low-key hiding like what she asks from him. Right? He hid from me that this chick is still calling him, asking him for things. One time we were again in my car, and again we had a thing about Clearwater Mall, right? We were in Clearwater Mall driving out yet again. This girl calls him and she asks him, I can hear she's talking in the background. It's her, right? He told me, "Ke Pinky, I'm gonna take the call, Ke Pinky." Like he unang thaba so much, and he didn't want to lose me, and he would tell me, "This is Pinky, I'm gonna take a call." Yeah. And then Pinky, "Hi, Nonti." I gave him the name Nonti. "Hi, Nonti, how are you? I need $1,000. This is what's good. I want ABC." And my boyfriend said to Pinky, "I can't. I don't have it." Like, that's what he responded, like, in front of me, right? I was sitting there listening to him. He was like, "I can't. I don't have it. I cannot tell it. I'm kind of broke right now." And she hung up on him. I could tell that she wasn't like, "Oh, okay, all right." She wasn't even understanding. You could hear and just feel like the call got disconnected. And my ex-boyfriend, how slowly he brought the phone down to him, like his chest area, you could tell that he was sad that she hung up. Yazi, yo, this woman, bane of my existence. Yazi, man, I wasn't sure. Like, for me, it was like, dude, do you still love this woman? In which case, I cannot be with a man that's more in love with some other woman than me. The self-confidence busting of that, the insecurities in me, I'm not gonna compete with that. I did not comfort you through a devastating loss. I didn't. And at the stage, my ex-boyfriend had also like lost his brother, right? So this chick, like I said, they grew up Gaufela, and she knew his brother more than I ever did. I only got to know his brother for a few months because by the time I came into his life, his brother was already kind of like about to leave, right? So I never really got to have a relationship with the brother. I never got to know him, but she knew him. And I felt so, like, during the season of mourning of my ex's brother, when he was mourning, I sometimes felt so closed out of that circle of comfort because I didn't really know his brother, whereas everybody else did. So I was sort of kind of on the outside on some, "I'm sorry guys for your loss," whereas everybody was able to share stories, exchange pleasantries and all that jazz. So I really felt locked out of it all. I did feel locked out. I did. And this woman was among the people that were able to share pleasantries, were able to share stories of him, you know. So guys, when fumigation sometimes is a process. It's much like spiritual war. Some things you fight off over months, man, maybe even years. There are Satanists who have repented from the occult that speak about how they got delivered over 2 years. This woman was like a strong demon that comes out only with fasting and prayer. I'm sorry, yeah, it was hard to get rid of this woman. God, but I finally prospered. So let's just like keep on talking to explain to you how that happened. My ex got off the phone with her. She hung up on him, right? And we had just had dinner gumnandi. We're chatting. It's like we're in love. Like, what's up, right? We just were so close. We were so tight, okay? We were so close. We were so in love. But this woman was like constantly. She was a freaking fire extinguisher. I am not even lying to you. Every time her call would come through, we had animosity and hostility now. You know, sowing discord. God, these are things that he finds an abomination in his sight. Sowing discord between brothers. Anyway, we weren't supposed to fornicate in the first place. So maybe that was the issue. Anyway, whatever. So this chick was the what was the fire extinguisher to whatever passion my ex and I felt at any given moment. Una presa button. Cessation, instant cessation of adoration would happen. She was a smoke bomb, a stink bomb in the environment. Nearly take care, sisters. Yo, lo muntu mengang tatela happiness. Yes, anyway. So my very tight and absolutely loving boyfriend, the very beautiful relationship we had, this girl, my ex went from being cool to basically, she was just standing in the way of our happiness. Anyway, whatever. He went from being cool to like obviously very clearly somber because he disappointed her. How dare he do such a thing as that? When you really care for somebody and they are not happy with what you're doing, it really sucks. It can ruin your day. This woman created such an ambivalence in my boyfriend because he did not want to make me unhappy, but he also did not want to make this woman unhappy. It's like he was Skilo. Is it Skilo? Or I forgot the name of that rapper from back in the day. I'm in love with these two chicks. I don't know which one to pick. Nah. Am I confused because I love all of them? Am I confused because I can't choose one of them? Oh, yeah, no. He was on that I'm in love with two chicks, girl. You remember that song from back in the day. Dude, be in love with two women. Yeah, my ex-boyfriend was proper like in that little crossroads. I'm in love with these two chicks. I don't know which one to pick. Except his choice was obvious. Because I was ride or die and I was happy to be with him no matter what was going on in his life. Whereas this woman was using him and she passed him up and she was still not prepared. Like, I still don't know to this day if this woman was like, leave her and I'll be with you. I don't care anymore about what's going on if my ex would have left. But I ultimately got that question answered. I was so insecure in the presence and the climate of this female that frankly, like, I even wanted to break up with my ex just because I did not want to be in a relationship with a man that was in love with another woman. I didn't want that, right? So the way that he was so disappointed and so saddened by the fact that she hung up on him, it created anger in me. And now here it is that I'm rapping. Do you know Barry? Have you seen that movie? Yeah, Bow Wow. that woman, she's now like a dancer in the entertainment industry. In like it's some Madea movie, I think. And she's like a nagging girlfriend. The name of the boyfriend is Byron, and she can't stop being like, baby mama thing. Barry. I was like that. I was like Barry, except Nanti. I was here. I was like, you got it. Like, what in the world? Like, why are you so upset? Like, I don't understand why you're so upset. Why are you down? Why are you somber? Like, what's the issue? This woman, I was so sad. Like, my ex-boyfriend made 2 to 3 years of my life so cold. I was in love with a guy that I wanted to get out of the relationship with, but I kept on getting reeled back in because, like I said, I was so in love, but at the same time it's like I was so unhappy. There was just so much random rubbish going on, and this woman was the bane of my existence. She appeared to be more able to comfort him over his brother's loss than I was because she knew him. Here it is that now they're sharing a second sorrow that I can't necessarily relate with, and it's like I can't compete with this. Guys, so I would get angry. I would not even be like like trying to talk through it on some, do you want to be with me or not, or what? Like, what's going on? At this time, I was just crying. I was like, this woman. So here it is, like I said, my ex-boyfriend was in an ambivalent position. He was caught in between two women, and the one that he was with was the one that was willing to be with him in spite of everything. And that's also another thing that really got to me. I was like, I don't really know if you are with me because you can't be with her. Like, what if she one day develops a conscience or develops virtue and is happy now suddenly to be with you? Are you then just gonna dump me for her? I can't have that level of insecurity. Like, what in the world? So that's where we find ourselves, right? So we would fight like this, and my ex started to just really get unhappy with our fights over this woman type establishment thing. He never ever stopped taking calls from this woman when I was there, even though he knew that it irritated me. And I think that was just one of the signs that he was trying to give me that look, you're the one I'm with type thing. I'm not with her, but she is my goddaughter's mom, and we do share that particular bond. You can't expect me to just like shut them out, because like, that's just wrong. Like, and I also knew that it would be wrong for him to sever her altogether, especially because of the girl, the little baby girl. I did not have an issue with the child. Okay, anyway, very well, cool beans and bananas. So that was what was going on, right? And then my ex-boyfriend and I Now this was before we moved in together. Okay, my remember I was working in the same sort of kind of general metropolis like Braamfontein. Yeah, one time I went to his offices to wait for him in the lobby because we were gonna meet before he walked me to school, because I also used to attend lectures in the evenings at Wits University, which also is like in the near. So yeah, we used to see each other every day when we were still working in the same hood type thing. So this time around, instead of waiting outside of his offices, I waited in the lobby of the company that he was working for, and there was this like randomly flirtatious female that he was walking out with, and she was a cute little yellow bone. And yo, I was so insecure. And then after like he broke off from this woman, was like, why were you flirting with that girl? Like, you know, the insecure girlfriend all up in your girl right there. He was like, no, Karabo, she's the one that's all up in my girl. She's been trying to holler at me, but she's one of those like all over the show in the office, right? And she also keeps on saying to me that what is this? You're lucky to have me. She keeps on saying that you are lucky to have me. She's been flirting with me, but I don't want her. I've been pushing her off because busy. Like, she's all over the show in the office. She's like that with all the guys, right? Type establishment thing. So essentially what I'm trying to explain to you guys is that guys like these Jezebelian women, especially when they get into a relationship, these women will suddenly start to charge like mad atoms this man, precisely because he's got a ride or die woman. But in the run up to him getting the ride or die that's happy to hold him down no matter what his circumstance, they are passing him shade, ignoring him. They don't want him because he doesn't have money, blah blah blah, all that jazz. So my ex-boyfriend basically just started getting an influx of these black jacks on him, of bad girls, because I was in his life. They just have to show up in the life of men who initially they either passed up or passed shade, but now that they've got women who are happy to love and embrace them, then only they start to give grief to these other women. But it is these bad girls that bad friends, men, so appreciate, herald, and pontificate the agenda of, that these guys end up really messing up with their good girls, because more celebrated are bad women by friends, by man caves of which later on regret the situation because they lose good women because of playing around with dumb chicks. Anyway, whatever. So on this day, after me being kind of agitated with his activity with this flirtatious female, right, he then again receives another phone call from Pinky right there, go officing, while just before we were about to walk to Wits, right, while before he would walk me to school, and you know, yeah, type thing. It was a walking distance to school. Anyway, yeah, no, my boyfriend, right, this was also before I got a car. This was an event before I got a car, because when we were busy parking idling quickly water, I wasn't driving my own car. It was my mom's car, right? My mom used to let me drive her car around a lot, especially on the weekends when she was sitting at home. Yeah, so it wasn't my mom's car. So at the stage I'd yet to get a car. That's why I was still traveling to Wits. I only got a car like maybe a year into our relationship type thing. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, so cool. So here it is that I'm walking outside of his office building with him, and then he gets a call from this chick. It's like around July of the year, and this chick on the phone says to my boyfriend, I need money to buy a fascinator for the Durban July. As I've never even been to the Durban July myself to this day. I was never those kinds of girls. She calls my ex and is like, I need like, please give me money, loan me or whatever. Like, I am short 1,500 rands to buy a fascinator for the Durban July. Yes, my ex was on the phone at that stage, and he looks at me and is like, this is Pinky. Because every time Pinky would call him Kileteng, he would tell me, because he knew how I felt. He was like, this is Pinky on the phone. And as she is busy telling him this, he was like, Pinky nankas khonu thusaka reka katibate July. He started to stand his ground. He was like, my girlfriend is not gonna be cool with that. He said that. Yo, guys, you know, when I had just been like kind of irritated with the flirting with some other yellow bone cutie pie that I saw in the office earlier. coming out with my ex, call center, but chase some right? And then because my ex saw that I was uneasy with the flirting woman, and he was like, Karabo, relax, this woman is like wang patla, but I don't want her. And she keeps on telling me that you're lucky to have me, right? And then he gets on the phone with this chick, calls him right there as he's standing like 40 steps so, and I'm waiting for him to finish his call, whatever. And then Pinky, and then he tells me before he answers the phone, he's like, Pink. I'm like, I start to roll my eyes on some, okay, whatever. Yeah, okay, Pinky's calling you. Like, of course she is, right? That's what I'm thinking. And then Pinky starts to speak about Durban July and the fascinator hat and how she needs 1,500 rands or a hat. And then my ex responds to Pinky and says, "Hey Pinky, I don't think my ex is gonna be cool with that." So she started to become bold, this woman, in the sense that before she would be like, I'm really struggling, I don't have enough money. Turara, that's the name that I gave her daughter. Turara does not have this and that type thing. Now she is flat out telling him, finance my trip to the Durban July. Basically, you better pay for me to be a diva out there. And my ex at that stage knows that this woman all over the show, and a gold digger, he knew that she was going to go to the Durban July, likely meet some like golfing guy over there, or some horse betting man over there, flirt with him up a storm. That's when he started to see that Pinky is using him, and that Pinky was also kind of getting active and very hectically calling him now every so often for stupid things, precisely because I was in his life. He basically started to pick up the spite of Pinky against me. He saw that she was actually trying to come at me, unreasonable, and she was manipulating his emotions in a way that was basically messing with the relationship that he had with a woman that has been ride or die to him, and she passed him up, and she's now asking him to finance something that he is aware she is going to be somewhere, basically just flirting with all the rich men in town. And he was like, you're not gonna do that to me. He just got irritated and was like, I'm not gonna help you buy a fascinator for the Durban July, and besides, I don't think my girlfriend would be cool with that. And Pinky got so angry, like so mad. She got so angry at him that I could basically hear him, like, when you can overhear a person screaming even though a person has not put them on speaker. And this is now bustling Johannesburg Braamfontein traffic. It's loud. I was like, listen, I could hear this woman being like, what makes you think, what does it even have to do with your girlfriend? I'm not even trying to come up against your girlfriend. I'm just asking you for help. I feel like you've changed, blah yazi. And he was just like, Pinky, I'm just saying, I don't have money to just be giving you Lorekakatiba. Eventually, my ex was so decent that he listened to her rap until she hung up. He did not hang up on her, she hung up on him. But from that day, the beef, you guys, like a biff, the beef that Pinky had with me was just like oozing out of the pores of this woman when I finally got to meet her in person. And when I met her in person, the description chicken was nothing like what it is that I ultimately finally got to see. My cousin, I remember, after my ex-boyfriend told me that Onale crush feelings for this Pinky woman, my cousin, right, who grew up in the same neighborhood as this woman, my cousin Nadulako Naturina, for a couple of years when she was a teenager, she and her crew of girlfriends were at enmity with the crew of girlfriends of this Pinky girl who also used to live in that neighborhood. All right. And my cousin knew her, even though I didn't know her. I was like, my ex is busy talking about some chick called Pinky. Do you know her? Because I met my ex through my cousin and my cousin's boyfriend. I was like, do you know Pinky? And she was like, yeah, I know her. When we were growing up, they used to dress very well. We were at enmity with them. Basically, they were competing with me and my crew of girlfriends. She's cool. She's pretty. She's got a great body. That's definitely what she had going for herself. And when my cousin told me that this chick has a great body, my heart sank. I was like, I was kind of hoping Kiskobo. I was kind of hoping she's just whatever, mediocre or whatever, right? My cousin described her basically from back when they were all teenagers. And according to my cousin, Pinky had a great body, right? And that she belonged to a crew of girlfriends with whom they were at rivalry. So my cousin was definitely taking my side on some girl. You ain't gonna let that girl take you away. That was good. Like what? Gay, get in me. So I was kind of like at least your enemies. At least you didn't grow up and you knew her and you were tight or good with each other in the same neighborhood. At least good. That's good, right? I finally did get to see Pinky in the flesh, right? And really, frankly, seeing her in the flesh should be the description, because I didn't meet her. It's not like I was introduced to her. How did I happen upon? When was the first time I ever saw Pinky? Yes. Pinky. It was a couple of years down the line from that incident, right, when I finally met her. By then everything had simmered down, but like I'll get to that place eventually, right? So my ex then started talking about how it is that Pinky, I'm not gonna buy hats for you, blah blah blah, all that jazz. And from that day the war intensified. I thought Pinky would down tools. I thought at that stage she'd be like, ah, a girlfriend, he's got a girlfriend now, so he's busy acting like he's being extra now because he's got a girlfriend. Whatever, I don't have time for this. No, Pinky put on basically, it's like she went into a corner para the fish nest stockings to be more seductive. She became more intense. She, guys, basically was climbing my boyfriend like he's the like lebotangare spider. I just, guys, this woman, from the day that my boyfriend told her my girlfriend is not gonna be cool with you doing that, right, it got worse. It got worse. That's the thing about these Jezebels. They are so disrespectful of women, of wives, of girlfriends. They are also, even though they sometimes don't even so much want the man, but they will try to stumble the man to make themselves either mistresses or side pieces. So just for the sake of crushing the woman, it stops being about the man but about the woman. And this woman came for me. She came for my relationship. She came for me. At this particular juncture point, when my ex was having this conversation with Pinky on the phone, I was still staying at home with my mom, my ex with his parents, and we were basically seeing each other on the weekends, booking into hotels and stuff. Guys, my mom then decided to like pull a stunt on me. We had some falling out in the house and she kicked me out of home. I didn't have a strong enough job to afford my own apartment. Neither did my ex, but because my boyfriend loved me so much, he was not prepared to just let me sort of write it out on my own. So we agreed to move in together even though we were not ready. I've already briefly told that story, that, bad parents can sometimes just throw their kids into things they didn't sign up for. I never ever wanted to do a fat and set. I was never prepared to move in with a man unless he was my husband, and I also was not prepared to give a man a child before marriage, right? Those were my rules, basically, even within a fornicating space. But thanks to a falling out with my mom, I ended up living with my ex-boyfriend. We moved in together. Like an apartment not even very far away from my mom's house. Yeah, okay. It was when we were living together that I started to experience some pretty hard knock stuff. At this stage, my ex's brother had already passed away when we moved in together, right? It was at this point as well that I believe the enmity, or rather the beef that the dad had with me, and like sort of kind of either was started or it got worse, because they were traditionalists, the parents, I guess, like most parents are. They into this modern thing, black parents just generally don't like that very much, and his parents also were on that tip, but they ultimately capitulated and accepted it because my ex wanted to also move out of Kohabona because it was so sorrowful there. It was so painful. He just wanted to get away from all the pain and the sorrow. Like, everybody was always crying because a brother had passed away, and he was like, he wanted a reprieve. He wanted to break away. So when he moved out, his dad felt like we are balega into that we all need to feel together. And so there was like some issues there, some beef, but they ultimately accepted it. They ultimately just like took it, most especially because the mom loved me so much and I was so apparently good for the son. But before my ex and I moved in together, already my boyfriend was starting to pull some stunts on me, even though he pretty much put Pinky in her place. But the whole thing with Pinky and my ex starting to act a fool ultimately accounts for the implosion of this whole thing. It ended because of just a combination of factors, both from the male side and from Jezebelian women, that caused my ex to lose the best thing he ever had and then end up a monster as a result. Women, I am doing this whole series to basically untrain you from evil habits that make you hate other women, because ultimately men are going to hate you for costing them certain women. And that's what is currently the state with my ex-boyfriend. Let me go use the bathroom, come back and continue with this discussion.